This is Why We Shouldn't Do Podcasts. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Josh, and I'm here with Conquest.
Of Stargarden Studios.
And I'm here with Captain as well. Hello, Captain.
Hello, and follow the Automatic Machines and Electric Boogaloo Orchestra on YouTube.
Or definitely don't.
And in case you got severe brain damage, I'm Josh of Product Placement Paranoia. So I could give you even more brain damage.
A shitposting channel that doesn't even actually shitpost.
Oh, it shitposts a bit. Did you see Baby Timmy?
Once every couple of months.
Baby Timmy is probably the biggest shitpost in the world.
Yeah, that's pot called and kettle black.
Yep.
Oh, God.
How many videos does Stargarden Studios have currently?
Well, not as many as mine.
Works.
See?
Yeah, but my content, when it comes out, will actually be quality.
Well, my content is close to quality too, for the most part.
You literally describe yourself as a shitposting channel.
Well, sometimes I'm high quality shitpost.
That's an oxymoron.
And that's mostly for making fun of certain YouTubers and shit. Like
a ghost.
Oh boy.
It's like a ghost shitpost channel. Like you don't have to wipe when you're done watching it.
Yeah. Actually did one video, which was making fun of Your Movie Sucks, and what his quickie videos.
So if you want YouTube Ranter 2,314,618,314th, and
wow, really good math there.
Paranoia.
I mean, I think we're kind of getting a little self-critical.
Still one step above Nicole Arbor and all those other hacks.
I'd say there's probably at least 100K various commenters.
Who never posted jack shit.
For playing Price is Right, you'd definitely be in the showcase.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm gonna guess $1,500.
Is not how the Price is Right works.
And then Captain would say, I'm going to guess $1,501. And then, of course, he wins a prize because he's closest to the perfect price amount. But that's how it works, right? At least at the ending of the game show.
So speaking of game shows, I bet that Cap would have won a copy of the Weezer album Pinkerton.
Is that a game show, or is that just an album?
So when I said the copy of the Weezer album Pinkerton, you didn't understand if I was talking about the Weezer album Pinkerton or if I was talking about the Weezer game Pinkerton?
I love that game.
I've never heard of that game.
Right?
Yeah, I guess we'll...
It's almost like it's not a game because I said the word album 4 goddamn times.
What did you say? I didn't hear it the first 4 goddamn times.
A Weezer game called Pinkerton.
It's almost like he won a copy of the album by Weezer, Pinkerton.
No, I didn't. Could you be louder?
Yes, I can. Is that a challenge?
No.
No. So, Weezer, Pinkerton. Conquest, this is your pick. You want to tell us a little bit about this album?
Pinkerton is the second studio album from Weezer. It was released in '96. It was the birth child, shall we say, of a failed rock opera that was called Songs from the Black Hole that Rivers Cuomo had originally written while he was going to guitar school, and then continued to work on while he was at Harvard. And then when he was between at Harvard, he went to that's when the band got into the studio to record it. Although they wanted to capture their live sound, so they self-produced the entire album, and that's why it sounds more abrasive and strong, unlike the Blue Album, obviously.
Does the Blue Album have Beverly Hills on it, or was that in their later album?
No.
What?
No.
Dude, that was like 4 albums later. Where the fuck did that come from?
That came out in like 06.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that was on Make Believe, like a decade after this album. No, out of nowhere.
Say it ain't so, man. Say it ain't so.
Well, that was my first Weezer experience, that song.
You probably don't even know who Buddy Holly is.
I know who Buddy Holly is.
Okay.
He did that shitty song. I forgot what it's called, but he did it.
Buddy Holly isn't shitty, and he died in a horrible way. I don't know why you're joking about it.
Yeah, Buddy Holly. He died in the day the music died. The plane crash
Yeah.
with Richie Valens and
G Valens.
I died like a shitload of years ago, so
Valens.
horrible
making
plane
a
crash.
making
Valens is like the widest way you can possibly pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
Which for a Mexican kid is kind of bad.
Yeah, well,
Because Valens was short for Venezuela. But no, it's Richie Valens
Ah.
and the Big Bopper. Fun fact, the only reason that Richie Valens was even on that plane was because Waylon Jennings had a head cold.
Which that's a hell of a
Shit you
Waylon
not,
Jennings.
they were loading into a little Cessna, right? Well, Cessnas don't pressurize properly. So if you have a head cold and you're getting in a Cessna, hell, if you have a head cold and you're getting in a regular, like, Boeing, like a big jet, your head's still gonna hurt. If you have a head cold and you get in a Cessna, that shit's going to be screaming the entire way. It's going to be the worst experience, one of the worst experiences you can have. So he chose to take the bus because of the head cold.
wow,
And his seat went to Richie Valens, who was supposed to be on the bus.
Jesus. And Richie Valens
by-
died.
It, like, through a fluke switch around, fucking, we gained one of the greatest country artists of all time.
Greatest country artists? Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, what's with like? There's quite a few musicians that have died in plane crashes. I mean, Randy Rhoads, 90% of Leonard Skinner, Aaliyah, Left Eye
Yeah, that
Lopez
has more to
from-
do with how people travel and less to do with plane crashes themselves. Plane crashes are actually astronomically rare. The only reason that musicians die in them is because they're statistically a lot more likely to be in plane crashes, and there's even more musicians who have died in road crashes.
Fair enough.
Significantly more. It's just we don't talk about those because a tour bus crashing, it sucks, but it's not like spectacular.
Well, I mean,
see.
like
know?
the one Cliff Burton died in. That's still pretty.
I thought he died from something
Yeah,
else.
but that's one example out of
Right, how
that's
many?
one example out of dozens and dozens and dozens of musicians that died just that decade
Right.
in crashes. But anyways, back to Weezer. Cuomo, the entire album, as I'm sure you guys can attest to, the entire album was written in a very cynical tone that criticized his own rock lifestyle. And the character is named after the album is named after the character B.F. Pinkerton from the 1904 opera Madama Butterfly.
I see.
I'm gonna read it as Cuomo describes it in his memoir. He describes the character as an asshole American sailor similar to a touring rock star. That's why the entire album has references to Japanese culture, and that's why the album cover looks that way.
Which brings me to my
Because
first.
the American sailors in Japan in the play.
Which brings me to my first
No.
concern is that the
wasn't
album
done.
is called Pinkerton, right? But does it have any pink in the album cover?
Oh, for fuck's sake! Seriously, did you not listen to what he just said? It's not named after the color pink. It just happens to have the color pink in the name.
Because the name is one of the most common American surnames on the planet.
Oh, I didn't see the pink logo.
Wouldn't call it go that far, but
Yeah, Pinkerton's
Cuomo.
a really common Irish American name.
what, Rivers or Cuomo or
Oh, Pinkerton. It's a really common
really?
Irish surname.
is it?
Do you remember the Pinkertons?
No.
Like, the example of all examples of rogue law enforcement agencies? Every other Western is made about the Pinkerton.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, doesn't ring a bell either.
They are the proto-police forces that all police forces are based around. They were a lawless gang that essentially hunted people for their bounties and are the main inspiration for how most police forces work nowadays.
Well, how many
Yeah.
hundreds of years are we going back here?
Like 100.
That was a long time ago.
Civil War America. You would have learned about this in history class. Like, I don't know how the fuck you're, like, blanking on this. This is U.S. History 101.
In my defense, I haven't been in a history class in a long time.
This is U.S. History 101. This is like not knowing who the fuck Frederick Douglass is.
I'm just fucking.
Oh.
So back to Weezer.
Anything else you want to add to the backstory of their conquest,
No.
or?
I don't care. The album had mixed reviews. It's considered their best album by most of their fans, but it had mixed reviews when it came out. It's an underground cult classic.
Would you say Pinkerton's like Weezer's best-selling album to date?
No.
No?
It had million reviews and was a fan favorite and is a cult classic now.
Oh, right. Called classic.
So,
Nowhere in that did I say that it was their worst selling album. Nowhere in that did I say it was their best selling album.
For me,
Yeah, mixed
I
reviews,
really
mixed-
haven't listened to a lot of Weezer aside from like their singles. So this was really unexpected for me. I did not expect it to be this heavy and to have this much fuzz. 'Cause holy fuck, was there a lot of fuzz.
Like I said, it was produced by Rivers Cuomo to create an abrasive sound.
Yeah, I'm not all up on
That is the goal.
the Rivers Cuomo
You're
shit.
not up
Some
on
of
the
these
thing I
songs-
just explained to. I just explained 5 minutes ago. You're not up on that.
Right. But
Some of these
thing I
songs
just
were
explained.
like 6 or 7s on the most scale of hardness. I mean, like these were straight bangers. Like especially Get You, like holy shit, that was like ugh.
Album was certified platinum in 2016.
So 20 years later, that's kind
Yeah.
of sucks. Hey, better late than never.
That doesn't suck.
Well, I mean, it sucks that it took that long. I mean, either way, it went fucking platinum. So,
Yeah,
mean,
I was
kudos
about to say, 99% of albums never go platinum. How does that suck?
Right.
Oh no, it didn't go
Purdue.
bajillion times platinum right on launch.
but it went
considering it came out
platinum.
in '96 when album sales were still like a thing before streaming and all that.
Yeah.
But,
It also
I mean, I guess
came
it's a
out 2
testament
years after
to
their
their-
fame. It was a sophomore album. You're looking at this through hindsight, though. It's not like
Yeah, fair enough.
it had one actual radio single. Period.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've never heard a single
Also-
song off this album.
El Scorcho is the only single that ever got a widespread release, and then The Good Life and Pink Triangle were both also released as singles, but they weren't released as huge singles.
What was the song that was talking
Keeping
about
it.
I'll never be together I can't date a lesbian or something?
I think that was El Scorcho.
Oh.
Huh.
But speaking of El Scorcho,
Yeah, that's then I understand why it was like a big hit single from that album at least, because that's the
21
one I
Pilots-
remember.
Big hit single. I said it was the only one that got any radio play.
21
Yeah,
Pilots owes their
they got
entire
widespread
career
release.
to El Scorcho. Without El
Mhm.
Scorcho, there would be no 21 Pilots. They completely stole the concept of awkwardly talking over a beat with minimal music.
plus 21 Pilots just straight up, well, in my personal opinion, sucks a bag of dicks. So
I mean, I was extremely disappointed when I found out there wasn't actually 21 of them, and they weren't actually in the Air Force. So, I mean, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, very funny. Anyways, so since you didn't point out the obvious, the song with the lesbian lyric just might be the song that's named after the iconic gay thing. I'll give you 3 seconds to think about it, because I already named
Get you.
I already named the song.
It was Get You.
Oh. What? Are you joking?
Yes, it was Pink Triangle, obviously.
I was
Oh.
seeing if Josh would get it, because he didn't.
I got it.
You're just gonna say
Was it
sucks.
Why Bother? Oh shit, no. Pink Triangle. That's the answer. I know it before
So-
Captain knew it, so there you go. I
Yes,
just wanted
we're
to see
gonna
if
have to-
Captain got it.
I guess we're going to have to discuss where the term pink triangle came from.
The
Who was
Illuminati,
Taylor
who's you know,
Oh, right.
Are you ever not tasteless?
hey, the triangles are
Kind of
usually
cool.
associated with the Illuminati, right? And plus, the Illuminati is like a
Pink triangle
cult,
was
so
what the
wow,
Nazi-
there you go.
Pink triangle is what the Nazis made gay people wear on their sleeve.
Oh fuck.
Like I said, have some fucking tact, man. Jesus.
Yeah.
Read a room. Fuck. Oh,
How-
it was what the
Why did I
Nazis used
suck
to
so
label-
much in social studies class? We'll
Yeah,
never
geez,
know.
what- Oh, yeah, there never any fucking hints that point to it. So yeah, the 3 radio singles, since apparently nobody heard me the first time, are El Scorcho, The Good Life, and Pink Triangle. The only one that got a widespread release in any radio play is El Scorcho.
Was he trying to sing along with the solo in El Scorcho? That kind of caught me off guard a little bit.
Yeah, it's meant to mock, like when, how do I describe this on an audio podcast? You know when a singer will mimic the way that someone's doing a meedly me thing in hair metal?
Yeah. Yeah, like that.
And they'll do that on a live show, like right next to the guitarist while doing an air guitar.
Fucking annoying.
making fun of it. Because
Okay,
he thinks,
so
thinks it's a douchebag thing to do.
I
The
mean,
entire album is basically a love-hate relationship with fame.
so it's kind of
Yeah.
like a piss take.
It's what Kurt Cobain would have. The entire album is what Kurt Cobain would have written if he wasn't on heroin and hadn't killed himself / been killed by his wife.
And the heaviness and the tongue in cheek, I see it. Well, I hear it rather.
Yeah, I get that from Weezer because, you know, with Beverly Hills, they don't sound like a band that takes themselves very seriously. I'm just saying, like...
No, second of all, you don't understand the point of that song. Third of all, how in the hell did you go from Nirvana to fucking Beverly Hills?
You're making me want to get my hash pipe.
No, I'm just saying, like, Beverly Hills is the only song by Weezer that I actually really fucking know.
There's at least 3 Weezer songs you know. Guarantee you.
There should be like 10 that you know because it's a 35-minute album that you just listened to.
Well, besides this album, there's Undone, the Sweater Song, Say It Ain't So, fucking Hash Pipe.
Hash Pipe, I could give him a pass for not listening to. It's not like he listens to much alt rock, and you don't hear that one on pop radio stations. But Say It Ain't So.
It got played a lot.
Yeah, back in the day. But that song came out before he was even conscious.
Why would you say that to me?
Because you need a reality check.
I remember when that was in commercials for Star Trek. What was the Star Trek that came out in, like, was that Voyager?
You're thinking of Voyager, yes.
Yeah, it was in Voyager.
Oh no, maybe if I listened to, like, some of the top Weezer songs, I'd remember hearing them from the radio or something.
I mean, Say It Ain't So, you can't get away from.
One of the most ubiquitous songs in rock history.
Buddy Holly.
Yeah, well, maybe I heard it. I'm not sure. I don't know the song titles or the bands that are usually played on the radio. I only know of Beverly Hills because America's Funniest Home Videos played that song while showing a bunch of stupid
Hills
shit.
One more fucking time. Yeah, you guys are making me want to get on an island in the sun. Okay?
Pinkerton.
I'm actually pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoyed this.
I'm not surprised at all. I told you you'd enjoy it. It's an incredible album. It's a very well done album.
Well, I didn't enjoy it.
Like, you touched upon it, like the tracks are more dissonant and chaotic than the typical Weezer lighthearted fare.
Well, especially, like, the Blue Album was already kind of abrasive because it's probably one of their hardest albums, but this one, it is just a hard 180-degree turn. You can really tell that he was burnt out with being a rock star, even after taking 9 weeks off to go to Harvard.
Which, how was that a vacation?
Oh, it wasn't meant to be a vacation. He had every intention of never going back to the star life.
I didn't care about that. But like
that's why he didn't study music theory at Harvard. His degree is not in music theory. He applied to Harvard because they were on the road and he was burnt out with being a rock star. So as soon as the tour was over and he got approved to Harvard, he went there. Just outright, like, he was done being a rock star. He was over it. This album was a complete and total fluke. But frankly, the fact that we have it is remarkable to begin with. And really the only reason we have it is because Matt Sharp was rolling through New England around the time that Rivers Cuomo was on winter break, and they managed to get the band together as a result. Because Matt Sharp and Pat, the drummer, were rolling through because they were heading down south to work on a solo, or not really a solo project, but a project with a different band that they had, or that they had formed in the absence of Rivers Cuomo. And so they were going down to do that, and they happened to roll through New England, and while they were there, they met up with them, and things just kind of started to fall into place, and so, they called everyone up and brought the last guy back into the studio. Studio, quote unquote. This is a little apartment in the middle of the city,
Right. I mean, such a quintessential '90s thing to do, though.
Oh yeah, it screams at you, but it's not like this album was ever meant to be, or was like a studio creation. There's a reason why it got released on an indie label.
Right. Well, I mean, that's just amazing, too, because, I mean, they didn't have cell phones back then, they didn't have social media, so just that random happenstance for all the ducks to line up like that was amazing.
Well, they had every intention of hanging out with Rivers. It's not like anyone hated each other. This wasn't like a feuding rock star scenario.
But still, I mean, just the fact that they just happened to be there, he happened to be available.
Well, they planned to go through anyways. It was just, while they were hanging out drinking beers, and I assume that they were hanging out drinking beers.
That makes a little more sense.
Except there's no dueling rock star thing here. Everyone got along with each other. It's just Rivers had no intention of going back to fame.
Right.
And then he showed them the songs that he had written during the school year, those being what eventually became the tracks for Pinkerton, and they laid him out in a couple of weeks and then pumped the album out.
To be fair, he probably could have just walked away and still made his money. I mean,
yeah, the Blue Album was incredibly successful. Speaking of albums that went a gazillion times platinum, there's a reason why he was able to go to Harvard. He paid for it outright.
Oh, right, yeah. Probably just the residuals from Sweater Song paid for tuition.
Well, there won't be residuals, not after 2 years.
Well,
royalties. Yeah.
Wrong R word. Royal.
Regardless, yeah, he made a lot of money from those songs. Even splitting that 4 ways is still... This was back when the record industry could actually make money.
Right, that's back when it was profitable.
Yeah, but as a result, they had no need or intention to continue Weezer as a project. They were all kind of burned out. They all just kind of were over it. And Rivers wanted to go get an actual proper degree. So he left, went to Harvard, and the rest of the guys went their own separate ways. And that eventually led to the album that we have sitting in front of us.
And I mean, you could hear it, too. There's a lot of just emotion and frustration in this.
Oh, yeah, especially in the lyrics. It is very raw, like I said. Everything about this album just screams, I hate being a rock star.
And just in the sound, too. I mean, the sound is a sign of things to come in the early 2000s, aside from 21 Pilots completely ripping it off. I hear a lot of Stone Age in this, too.
Yeah, Queens of the Stone Age. Another band that's very much about anti-rock starisms.
Right.
Is that so? I did
Josh
not know
Homme's
that.
also just a little unhinged.
But no one knows.
No one knows.
Sometimes you just gotta go with the flow.
Okay.
This is less fun when Josh doesn't know what's going on.
I think it's more fun when he doesn't know what's going on. Personally.
Now I'm just keeping my mouth shut because I have nothing to say about this album, really. I mean, I listened to it, but I don't know what to say.
As well just be songs for the deaf.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not doing.
And then hearing you guys tell me that Weezer's 2005 song is infamous for being the worst fucking song they've ever written in their lives makes me go, well, shit. I didn't know that at all.
It's their watershed sellout moment.
What about Feels Like Summer, though?
You know what, I'm going to bite my tongue. I was going to say something. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I know. You're going to make an American Idiot reference, which would still be tone deaf, out of touch, and completely lost.
No, I was going to say it's their Final Cut album, but...
Their Final Cut album? Now I'm thinking Pink Floyd.
That's what I was...
Oh, okay. Their 2006 album, you mean?
No.
We're not doing...
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm confused. Oh, I see. Yeah.
But that would make it a River Soul album, and...
Regardless, I never listened to the album, but I still enjoyed the song off the album. The one that shall not be named.
Why am I not surprised that you actually...
I don't know, it was just dopey, dumb, fun shit.
So, you remember last episode when I was really into the critically acclaimed, very serious, very intelligent album, and Josh thought it was dumb, and then he loved the stupid pop song and thought it was hot shit and the best thing ever?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Anyone getting deja
they're good
vu?
songs, but they're stupid pop songs. Yeah. My, how the turntable.
So anyways, Pinkerton. I think it's the best album, or the band's best. Some of my best memories are of playing games to The Good Life, or to, like, I had my first kiss to a song on this album.
That's
Like,
lovely.
if that doesn't scream, yeah.
Well, obviously you're going to be extremely biased towards that album, both of you.
Yeah, much like All Music and Pitchfork and Record Collector and American Songwriter and Consequence of Sound and every other publication that gives it a 5-star review. Because again, it's in hindsight, it's one of the most well-praised records of their collection, and oftentimes a fan favorite. It's just at the time it had very mixed reviews. It took people a while to warm up to the sound. In a lot of ways, I like to think that it was ahead of its time.
I would
Cliche as
agree
that
on that.
sounds.
But they definitely approach a lot of concepts and sounds that really won't be explored for a couple more years.
Years later, it wouldn't even be accepted by the mainstream until years later. The album is very avant-garde in a way. It's very much a boundary-pushing record. In a lot of ways, this does remind me of the episode that we did on Smashing Pumpkins, because this, not in the sense that the albums got similar receptions, but in the sense that the albums tried similar things. It's just that Rivers Cuomo is leaps and bounds a better songwriter and musician.
Right.
He's backed by artists that don't hate him. He's backed by artists that actually know who he is and are fucking session musicians.
They're not all self-destructing at the same time.
They're not all on heroin.
Well, speaking of heroin, Josh, how's that going for you?
It's not going well. I'm back to taking heroin again, but that's because of something we'll discuss later. But yeah,
God, no.
I don't know. I didn't really care for
happy fun episode.
I didn't really care for Pinkerton. I mean, I like the name of the first song, Tired of Sex. That's funny. And I remember Butterfly because it was like the, was it the acoustic song off the album, the only acoustic one?
That one really didn't fit.
But
I mean,
yeah.
every album's gonna have a ballad.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it stood out to me. Everything else just kind of blended together to me.
Haven't we already established that all he likes are shitty rock ballads?
No, not. I don't like all shitty rock ballads. And I don't like.
I feel like we talked about this though, didn't we? Piano and.
I didn't even care that much for Butterfly. I was just like, oh, this stood out to me, and that's it.
Moving on. So, Falling for You.
That was the song I had my first kiss to.
Oh, nice.
Lovely.
It's a fitting song to have a first kiss to. Not exactly a romantic song.
Right, but hey, I mean, it sets the tone. I mean, that's really all you need.
Well, a song about being insecure about how you feel about someone and being afraid to fall in love for fear of the heartbreak that follows. You cannot tell me that's not just perfect for a teenage romance.
This is cringe on display, ladies and gentlemen.
Not like you're focusing on the song anyway.
You want a meet cute story? Here it is.
Being self-aware and acknowledging the very real issues that there are in dating is cringe.
No, just.
It's a touching moment.
Oh, I had a first kiss from listening to a song.
That's like
really yeah, you got some things you want to work out here, Josh?
No, I just want to know your final thoughts. What are your final thoughts? Unless you have more to say.
Yeah, I got some notes here too. I think if this album probably came out like 5 or 6 years later, it would have been much better received. Like that post-grunge sound was kind of the mainstream at the time. So I mean, I think '96. That's like
very early for something of this caliber, and I very much agree. This has an early Queens of the Stone Age vibe, or like an early Foo Fighters-y vibe. Like it's not very alt rock in any sense other than just being.
I didn't hear any Foo Fighters in this, but you know that's probably because
it doesn't sound very post grunge or pop punk like Weezer originally sounded.
Just doesn't sound like Dave Grohl, I guess.
I think Melancholy and Infinite Sadness came out. Bush had just come out with something. Metallica just put out Load.
Also coming out in '96 was right around the time that Green Day was releasing Insomniac. Like, nothing sounds like this album. And not in this way.
And Nickelback put out their debut.
They're a great example of a post-grunge band that sounded kind of like this album years later.
I didn't even think about that. Yes, before Nickelback homogenized their sound.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, it
there's
says
no
on
need to have
iTunes.
watched this, but yeah, their first album is very much that's how it sounds. Going back though to
Yeah, Nickelback's
going
album
back
came out in
to-
'96. It says on iTunes, but they could be wrong.
that could also be the Canadian release. It definitely didn't get
Yeah.
radio play until '97 at the very earliest.
Yeah.
I know that for a fact.
Let's not forget that Nickelback's
as far
Canadian
as-
too, so it counts.
Hey,
It's not-
they had mainstream success until How You Remind Me came out, and then Chad Kroeger just took that same formula and made millions of fucking dollars off of it.
Well, they had moderate success before that, but yeah, they broke into the mainstream with Silver Side Up. But that's all besides the point, because going back to 1996, even when there were abrasive albums, like Load was abrasive in the sense that it was going back to a very garage metal-y kind of sound for Metallica, and obviously Insomniac was meant to be a lot more of a brutal, raw punk album. Neither of those albums sound like this kind of raw, though. This kind of raw.
Yeah.
Didn't just sound-
Polish.
I don't get garage from Metallica's Load, but I do get garage
That's the
from.
whole point. It
yeah.
had polish. I mean, it had that like
Yeah,
that jammy garage rock. We're gonna be sitting in the garage and jam on the same fucking 4 riffs for a 10-minute sound, but it didn't have that raw sound that Pinkerton has. That fuzz.
Yeah.
That like.
And again, like Insomniac, it sounds like a professionally recorded album, whereas it was trying to replicate something like 1039 Smooth or one of their other proto albums, which very much sound raw and DIY punk, like they had roots in. So when you release a professionally recorded album that just sounds more aggressive, it still just sounds professional and polished and like it had a producers. This does not sound like that. It sounds like a lot, but it definitely does not sound overly polished. Not like everything else that was aggressive coming out at that time.
So,
Sounds
just a quick
exactly
question.
How it was made.
Just a quick question. Would you say there's like any negatives towards this album, or
No,
I mean, aside from Butterfly?
wasn't even the negative of this album. It's just the weakest song. There has to be a weakest song.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's not a bad song. It's actually quite a good song. It's just the weakest song.
Yeah. I think my biggest negative is just everything about this album is pretty much forgettable. But you know,
It's
that's for
you
me.
Listen to it.
Yeah, I mean, I already said I listened to the album, but maybe I need to listen to it a little more so that it sticks in my brain or something.
For me, it was a good album to bang my head to. I mean, I was nodding along to half of these songs, especially Get You, No Other One, and Falling For You. Those are probably my 3 favorites.
See, the only way it sounds polished is in the songwriting. The songwriting is incredibly tight on this entire album. Everything's very songwritery and very clever. It's filled with little nuances. It's a very wordy album, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Right.
I mean, that being said, not like a whole lot really jumped at me. There wasn't any hooks that were like, memorable, which, I mean, for a sophomore album, for somebody who didn't even want to write the album.
Maybe that's the
kind of
problem.
And for an album that wasn't really
You
meant
just
to
said
have
there
hooks.
weren't any hooks that were memorable.
Didn't have any hooks, period. It wasn't designed to have hooks. Again, as I just said, it's an
Right.
album not meant to have hooks.
Maybe
I
that's
mean,
a
street
fucking
album.
problem I had with it. No hooks. That's why it was forgettable to me.
Nothing catering to your dumb monkey brain.
I don't have a dumb monkey brain. I mean, I have a
You
dumb
by
brain,
definition
but
have a
it's
dumb
not a
monkey
monkey
brain.
brain.
I mean, technically, we all
Are
have monkey
you a
brains.
human? Yeah, that's
I'm
kind of the point.
no, I'm
Dumb
an
monkey
alien.
brain is a-
Technically, we all have reptilian
dumb
brains,
monkey
too.
brain is a dumb monkey brain is a common idiom.
Should we give our scores, or what do you want to do here?
Cap, you got any other notes?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I would, not turn off if it was on, but there's really not, like, any songs where it's like, oh, I could really go and listen. But,
In all fairness, it's not really your cup of tea, and that's kind of why I picked it, because I wanted you guys to listen to something that you wouldn't normally listen to.
I don't feel like I wasted my time listening to it. I did enjoy it, but granted, I'm not really the biggest Weezer fan, so I feel like that's part of the reason, but it was still enjoyable. Like I said, I didn't hate listening. For that, I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
I'm letting you give it your 5 out of 10. Go ahead.
Yeah, you guessed my score, so I won't say anything other than that.
Well, I think it's a 9 out of 10. I think it's one of the most professionally written album. One of the most professionally written isn't a good way to put it. Let's see, how do I put this? One of the most songwritery and creatively and intelligently written albums of the 90s. I feel like it's an absolute masterpiece as it stands. I feel like it's an incredibly clever and well done piece of art, and I feel like it is incredibly underrated and was absolutely and horribly forgotten at the time in a way that it definitely didn't deserve. I give it a 9 out of 10.
Great.
Definitely don't see the hate. I don't feel like it's deserved of the critical panning.
Probably isn't, but well, thanks for the album, Conquest. I appreciate it, but it's not my cup of tea. If you excuse me.
Speaking of music and album, as far as albums and music goes, I picked another music-based thing because I wanted this to be a fun, happy episode. So let's talk about Rock of Ages, boys. Rock of Ages is a 2012 jukebox musical based on the rock jukebox play. It came out in 2012 after being in production hell for years, not years, it wasn't like some horrible thing.
Like Food Fight?
Was originally slated to... What?
Food Fight?
What?
You've never heard of Food Fight?
No, that's not.
That came out of nowhere. The stage show debuted in 2005 on Broadway. Then it came out in 2005 on Broadway, and then the movie was slated for production in 2009 as it was starting its world tour. And then that ended up getting pushed back until a 2011 production, and that got released the summer rather of 2012, June 15th, I think. The film got mixed critical reviews because it's a play. Most play adaptations get mixed reviews, especially jukebox musicals. Mixed reviews is about as good as they come, as I'm sure you guys have seen with the critical consensus for Mamma Mia 1 and 2. The other two big jukebox musicals that I can think of that came out recently. Jukebox musicals have a very love-hate relationship with Hollywood in a way I don't entirely see as fair. But as a result, the film kind of bombed in the box office. It barely broke even.
And rightfully so. So, before we get into anything, I just want to... So, this is a musical, obviously, in case you didn't know, and I am extremely biased towards musicals as I pretty much hate them. So, just thought I'd throw that out in the clear.
I haven't seen a lot of musicals. I've seen probably Rent is probably the biggest one I've seen. Other than that, I've seen like Sweeney Todd and Stomp. That's about as far as I go as musicals are concerned.
Does A Hard Day's Night count as a musical?
The Beatles movie?
Yeah, the Beatle movie. A Hard Day's Night it was called.
No, what it was called. No, it's not a jukebox musical.
Well, it's a musical though, right?
Can we explain what a jukebox musical is?
I guess.
Yeah, I explained what it was the first time. I said a jukebox musical was a musical formed with songs that already had pop success before the musical.
I see.
I explained all this.
Yeah.
Brought you
so jukebox musicals.
How much you hate musicals.
Yeah, I fucking hate them.
So anyways, it's essentially a love letter to the 80s, especially the late 80s hair metal scene.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a jukebox musical, so it features the music of artists like Def Leppard and Journey, Scorpions, Poison, Foreigner, Guns N' Roses, Pat Benatar, Joan Jett, Bon Jovi, Twisted Sister, Whitesnake, REO Speedwagon, and a few others. Those are the ones I got written down, but I didn't go through the entire soundtrack and write them all down.
I mean, you hit all the major players. I'm surprised at the star-studded cast here. There's a lot of people in the...
Yeah, like Tom Cruise, Alec Baldwin.
Interrupting me, that's great. Thanks, guys.
The guy who dated Katy Perry, what's his name? The comedian. What was his name?
Russell Brand.
Russell Brand? Right, yeah, Russell Brand.
Can I explain what I was saying before you jumped in and interrupted me by naming off stars?
Yeah, fine. Go ahead.
Movie launches with a Sister Christian song. I know for a fact that wasn't on the list I had written.
Yeah.
Not Sister Christian. Fuck. No, Sister Christian.
fuck.
No, Sister Christian wasn't the name of the band.
That's the song. Sister Christian, you know the only one. Night Ranger.
Night Range. Yeah. See those guys. It's kind of hard when they're one-hit wonders.
Right. Which there's a bunch.
Yeah, I
of
know for a
these.
fact that. Yeah, there's a bunch in most eras, but anytime that music is at a relative high, you get a lot of one-hit wonders as a result. Yeah, it
Right.
launches with Christian, just like Paradise, nothing but a good time in the medley. No, as far as
I like that
Star-Studded
matchup.
Huh?
Paradise City.
Matchup of
Paradise City wasn't in the
Yeah, there was a mashup of certain songs, just like what they did in fucking Pitch Perfect.
It was Jukebox Hero and I Love Rock and
I Love
Roll.
Rock
which-
and
Yeah, Joan Jett's I Love Rock and Roll.
It was a
That's
nice
called a-
juxtaposition.
How do you
what that
ruin
is,
two
that's
great
called a medley.
songs by meshing them together?
How to
Thank you.
demonstrate you don't understand a medley in one sentence?
Oh, then you must be a huge
Or
fan of
narrative
Pitch Perfect,
structures.
eh?
Star-studded cast. So aside
Pitch
from
Perfect is also a jukebox musical, yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Never thought I was a fan of it. It uses songs in a functional way. Star-studded cast. It's got obviously Tom Cruise is the big star, but along with Tom Cruise, it also had Russell Brand, Alec Baldwin, Paul Giamatti. It had Catherine Zeta-Jones. It had Malin Akerman. It had Mary Jane Blige. It had Bryan Cranston.
I was
Really
excited for
everyone.
Tom Cruise.
Really
Julianne
everyone
Hough was in
but-
this too. Before, I think this was before Dancing with the Stars, or this was like
I don't know.
Oh, she's
Probably a
most
big
famous for-
star.
I never watched Dancing with the Stars, so I wouldn't know.
and
Julian
then
Hughes is known for a country career, and Diego Boneta is known for being that guy who is not Lou Diamond Phillips. I mean, like,
newer from Dancing with the Stars. I don't know. I have no idea.
Julian Hughes, yeah, she's a country artist. She was like a B-tier country artist for years,
Huh.
which you would have known if you hadn't interrupted me.
Was it that Sherry girl that she played, or?
Yes.
Yeah, I figured she
Those
was
two
country.
are borderline racist, but moving past that,
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
How's it racist?
No, we're not talking about it. It was a big headline thing. We're not talking about it.
All right.
And I don't know if you guys caught this, but later on in the movie, we have a very early appearance of T.J. Miller.
yeah.
Oh, the
Well,
guy
not
who
really.
was Meh in
Well,
the
I
Emoji
know-
Movie.
Why do we even let him talk? Why do we not just have like a mute button anytime he's about to say something dumb?
I'm just saying he was in
We
it.
won't be able to talk shit about him.
Let's keep.
TJ Miller
Staining
was
his
already.
career.
TJ Miller was already a huge stand-up comedian in 2012, guys.
I never heard of him until the Emoji Movie. So
He's
take
been in the
that.
Movie, a big star. He was in fucking Deadpool before he was in the Emoji Movie, man.
Yeah.
I never watched
Silicon
Deadpool.
Valley, too.
He was like
What?
an A-list by the time he was in
Yes.
Deadpool. He was as big as Ryan Reynolds.
I wouldn't say he was that big. I mean, Ryan Reynolds has been huge for
Ryan
20
Reynolds.
years.
Yeah, but Ryan Reynolds was also at a low point in his career.
Yeah, I mean, he had just done Green Lantern, so.
Yeah, like 4 years ago, and he hadn't really done much since.
Poor Rai Rai.
Can
kinda
we?
my
I
fault.
mean, can we all agree that Deadpool pretty much launched his fucking career into the stratosphere?
Sure.
Relaunched his career. It turned him into an A-list star, yeah. I'm not disagreeing with that fact. I'm just saying him and TJ Miller were at comparable levels of fame when they were in that movie together.
Yeah, that's
He
cool.
He's like either the highest paid or second highest paid actor now.
What, Ryan Reynolds? Yeah, like I said,
Yeah.
it relaunched his career and made him a star.
Yeah, that's
Can
what I
we
meant.
get back to
relaunch.
Can we get back to Rock of Ages, please? And not talk
Right,
about
Rock
fucking
of
the
Ages.
Emoji Movie or TJ Miller or whatever the hell. We don't need to talk about
Yeah, I don't know where
cameos
we're
from
going.
comedians. There's like 4 different comedian cameos, and you missed the other 3, so...
Oh no. We can talk about other movies.
Good
Why don't we
example.
discuss the plot?
Toby Maguire produced it. He was a cameo.
Yes.
Just another example.
I saw that.
I missed
Is that
his
something I
name.
feel like you would have I feel like that's something you guys would have missed, and I wanted to point it out.
Spider-Man.
At what
As
point?
if Spider-Man 3 wasn't low enough, wasn't enough
Like-
of a low for you.
The entire musical is just meant to be a pastiche of the story of Don't Stop Believin'. It brought full circle when they show that the crux of the film is Don't Stop Believin'. But it's a small town girl who moves to the city to become a star. And when she moves there, she meets Drew and the other collective cast of characters.
Yeah, she meets
such as Alec
D-list
Baldwin play-
Zac Efron.
I was wondering if the parallels to Don't Stop Believin' were intentional or not.
Oh yeah, the entire thing is written to be like that way. That's why the song is the crux of the play. It's all built around it.
Makes
That's one of the reasons why this is my favorite jukebox musical, because every single song is... It's not one of those things where they wrote the story and then jammed in the songs. The songs were designed to work with the scene in a way that you see in regular musicals very often.
Yeah.
Every musical piece is designed to work with what's going on in the film, and it's not meant to be just shoehorned in, and that's why, other than...
I 100% disagree with you there, but go on.
I agree with Conquest. I enjoyed that very much.
The only song...
Well,
I
you're
can think
both
of that
fucking
really-
idiots, so...
I'm a fucking idiot!
Well,
I'm
yeah.
a fucking idiot!
Conquest, continue, please.
The only song that struck me as not really 100% fitting is Hit Me With Your Best Shot, but I feel like that's just because the choreography was so extreme in the scene. It didn't really mesh well, especially with Catherine Zeta-Jones's character.
Which scene was that again? I don't 100%.
Hit Me With Your Best
Which-
Shot in
yeah.
the church.
She's singing with her church friends, where they want to
And they
get
were
rid of
gathering
rock and
all the-
roll.
They were gathering the socialites in the church.
Okay, I mean,
They
yeah,
were
that's
singing
kind of
against the prop of Stacey Jacks. I think that Catherine Zeta-Jones did an incredible part of it, but as I'm sure it will not surprise you, they modified the hell out of that scene from the play. It is massively changed. That's a big part of why it doesn't fit as well as it does in the play.
I'm assuming it's a lot more sexual in the play.
It's a lot more of a contrast in the play. It's built up and the sexual tension is there in a different way, whereas with the Catherine Zeta-Jones ones, it just feels like Catherine Zeta-Jones just doing her sexy thing. The play, it very much plays up the whole ex-lover thing.
It's about as sexy as
No.
those commercials with the ladies doing their laundry.
Do you want to give us like a real quick, uninterrupted synopsis of the story?
Sherry Christian moves from Oklahoma to LA in a big-ass Greyhound bus. She does this while they contrast that with scenes of Drew Bowley going to work at the Bourbon Room, which is the birthplace and fostering home, I guess you'd say. How would you put that? Central hub, I guess would be a way to put it. Central hub. It's 912 Gilman for the hair metal scene. It's the central hub for hair metal. And it's
I feel like they were trying to basically make that like an XP of the Whiskey A Go-Go.
That's exactly what it's based on. But like I said, 912 Gilman as far as 90s punk scenes go. That's the one in the Bay Area that housed... Well, that's the one in the Bay Area that housed, you know, The Offspring and Bad Religion and fucking Operation Ivy, and, you know, later on it housed bands
Dead
like...
Kennedys and
Dead Kennedys, obviously Green Day played there. All the bands you'd expect played there. This was that equivalent. It's definitely meant to be the Whiskey A Go-Go. It's a bar that's... Well, as you can see in the movie, it's a bar that's designed to just be the energy of the music scene of the time. On the Greyhound bus, she's singing Sister Christian as her building up moment and her going away from home song. All the meanwhile, Drew is singing Nothing But a Good Time in the bar with other bar workers because he is stuck at work and living the lyrics of the song. That contrasts into Just Like Paradise when Sherry gets to LA, right up until her suitcase gets stolen, it cuts, just cuts hard to her crying in the street and Drew getting her a job at the Bourbon Room. This is where we get that really funny scene with Alec Baldwin where he names her life plot point by plot point as she's lived it at that point.
Right.
That scene gets me every time. So anyways,
Yeah.
that's when we reveal the main conflict of the film, that being that the bourbon room is barely able to stay open. This is when they call. This is when they call up Paul Giamatti playing Stacey Jax's manager and confirm that Arsenal is going to play their final show there that night. In the meantime, Drew is on his break and he's taking Sherry to the record store, and that's where they do Jukebox Hero contrasted with I Love Rock and Roll being sung by Alec Baldwin and Russell Brand to people way too old to still be living the rock and roll lifestyle, but they just can't give it up. This then, after they both finish their songs and there is some serious sexual tension on both sides, it cuts to Catherine Zeta-Jones and Bryan Cranston accepting the mayor for Bryan Cranston becoming the mayor, and Catherine Zeta-Jones becoming the mayor's wife who wants to shut down the LA Strip, which then...
A little self-hatred there, too. Spoil it.
Bryan Cranston?
Well, no. Catherine Zeta-Jones, I don't know if it's this exact scene, but she just gives this thinly veiled... Well, I'll let you get to it.
Oh, are you talking about at the, Oh, no, I was at the church scene. That was the very next scene. Which brings me to our next song, Hit Me With Your Best Shot. Where she tries to rile up the church ladies into, attacking, or rather hating Stacey Jax for, and blaming him for the destruction of their city's youth. And they do it with Hit Me With Your Best Shot, which is a hilariously ironic song as it's picked.
And they want to get rid of they want to get rid of rock and roll from the city, right?
They want to clean up the streets. They just want to get rid of the strip.
Yeah.
The strip in LA is a series of bars where 80s hair metal was basically born.
Won't somebody think of the children? And it's also supposed to be, like, basically PMRC, also.
It reminded me of this movie called Miracles from Heaven, where they made it out to be like, oh, it's bad to be an atheist. But with this movie, it's like it's bad to be like a hardcore Christian who's against rock and roll.
With PMRC, they attacked, like, the shock rock and, like, rock is the work of the devil.
Or like the whole map
exactly.
In Detroit Rock City.
Another great movie.
Way to go, Josh. You actually understand how plots work. I thought that you watched anime, though. Anyways,
I know how plots work. I just hate shitty romances. Because this is like a romance movie, right? Between a girl and a boy. And Tom Cruise and the...
issue with a girl? Can it get any more obvious?
Yeah.
Not even the right song. Like...
Is there any jukebox musicals that don't have like a romance thing going on?
No.
Of course not.
Movies as a whole don't generally have much plot variation other than romance. Romance is one of the 5 basic... What are they called, Cap?
Plot devices?
I was, story structures.
Yeah, right.
The 5 basic story structures of literature. Basically everything in the English language is based upon... Like, 1/5 of everything in the English language is based upon romance. Bitching about...
I mean, one of the greatest...
No sense.
One of the greatest movies of all time is a romance, so...
Casablanca.
Oh, I meant Titanic, but... Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, you think? God damn it. Anyways, the whole scene with Hit Me With Your Best Shot is meant to be playful irony, as we see later, given the whole groupie mentality.
Yeah.
And the
That's subplot completed.
The groupies for Jesus?
Not completed at all.
Yeah.
If anything,
they just finished it. They had no idea where to go from there, so they just said, "Oh, let's make her a groupie of the guy," and there you go. Her reputation's ruined,
it's a central
and that's
plot
it.
Point.
I literally just got done explaining in the sentence previous to when you interrupted me how that played into the show. How it was foreshadowed.
Yeah, it was forced in.
How it was the entire time. Not forced in, foreshadowed.
It's self-loathing. It's a very typical, I hate this thing.
Songs about self-loathing. In what way is that hardly about it? That is like the most on-the-nose pick of a song they could have made. Without just picking a song that literally goes, oh, hey, I used to love this guy, but now I don't. The most obvious 80s hair metal pick they could ever go with.
Well, yeah. Just like the rest of the songs.
It's obvious, but it's all just... So now you're back to complaining that's obvious when you obviously missed it?
Let's continue, shall we?
Drew and Sherry go on their first date that they had set up at the record store. While at the Hollywood sign, he reveals that he had been writing the start of... reveals that he had been... Or, rather, before they go on the date, they do Waiting on a Girl Like You. While on the date, he reveals that he had been writing the song, that he had been writing Detroit Rock City... Not Detroit Rock City. God fucking damn it! Now it's stuck in my head. He had been.
Yeah, don't stop believing.
I'm thinking Detroit Rock City because it also had an anti-music thing. It also, it's just a similar film. It's just not a musical.
It's a good film.
Detroit Rock City as a film?
Yeah.
We're not going.
Based on the Kiss song. Well.
Oh shit.
Speaking of 80s rock movies. Anyways, I guess that's late 70s. So, obviously, now we're leading up to Arsenal's final show. The opening act, what were they called? Iron Balls?
The Z-Boys or something?
Oh, you're way fucking ahead of it.
Sign.
Okay.
I just want to when I get sexually aroused, I too hear a improvised saxophone solo.
Jesus Christ.
And then, just a reminder that intercourse in public is a good way to wind up on a sex offender registry. Just, Valley.
Goody. This is the 80s.
Yeah, they were fucking crazy in the 80s, man.
You know, everyone was hopped up on coke, but it's still valid.
You barely see sex in this movie, though. They always just have their undies on.
Almost like a PG-13.
Yeah, it's PG-13.
Yeah,
so, I'm sorry,
PG-13.
Iron Balls is the opener, and...
They cancel because they all go to simultaneous rehab because 80s drug jokes. I'm kind of glossing over it, but I think it's really funny how they do it in the show. Anyway, Sherry convinces them to let Drew's act, Wolfgang von Colt, be the opening act. This then leads to them doing a duet of More Than Words in Heaven, proclaiming how in love they are with each other. That cuts back to Stacey Jacks and Paul Gill talking. And it is through that Paul Giamatti reveals reveals that Stacey Jacks has an interview with Malin Ackerman. Constance Sack is her character's name. For the Rolling Stone on location at the Bourbon Room. This then cuts the interview, or rather, she walks in to do the interview, and she just outright calls out Tom Cruise to his face and makes him look like the complete old asshole that he's being.
That's not what reporters do, though, right? They just interview them. They don't just call them out for their bullshit and stuff. Or do they?
She's an investigative journalist. It's literally her job.
Oh, okay. I was confused there.
There's an entire Will Smith movie about this type of shit.
Yeah.
Concussion, right?
I can't tell if you're joking or not.
I honestly don't know.
Itch.
I did not see that movie.
Yeah, I didn't see the movie either. So I wouldn't know.
Great, cute love movies. So anyways, Constance implies that Stacy is just a massive jackass and implies that he is going solo because he literally pissed off his band too much. He performs When Dead or Alive, implying that he is some kind of a cowboy and some...
On a steel horse he rides.
Yeah, good job. You got the lyrics to When Dead or Alive right.
Thank you.
Cookie? Oh,
He does
yes,
ride
please.
a motorcycle, actually. In the movie, he does have a motorcycle.
Yeah. Does.
Yeah.
That's, like I said, the whole point. Anyways, so Stacey Jacks, at the end of the song, asks Sherry to grab him a bottle of scotch from his limo. Stacey Jacks and Constance go back to their room. Constance just blows up in his face and calls him out for his dumbass bullshit and for his bravado and for his macho man attitude. And then they realize they're incredibly attracted to each other and that Stacey Jax is ultimately just lonely. They do I Want to Know What Love Is. They fall just short of having sex. Constance runs out of the room. Stacey Jax knocks the bottle out of Sherry's hand and pulls her shirt down, makes it look like they just had sex. Drew catches them walking out of Stacey's dressing room while Stacey is zipping up his pants. He thinks that they're fucking, and so he sings "I Want to Rock" in anger. And then, as soon as it ends, he breaks up with her outside of the bourbon room.
He doesn't even explain to her that he thought she had sex with the guy. Like, he doesn't even tell her that. He just comes straight to the conclusion.
That's not the type of... Get that you've never been in a relationship, but that's...
Well, if that's how being in a relationship is, then I'm glad I'm fucking single. Like, fuck that shit.
Right. It's that. Yeah.
That's
like
a reasonable response.
I mean, there's that's
it's stupid.
Communicate more, but I know for a fact if I was in his situation, I wouldn't be talking about it.
So is this supposed to be a weird alternate reality where these songs don't exist in this movie's universe? Okay.
Any jukebox musical, assume that the songs don't exist.
Okay.
That the characters are either performing them spontaneously, or they wrote them, or whatever.
Because I'm not familiar with the medium, so that was just something I was...
That's the assumption, is that they're not singing songs that they think that pop in their head, they're singing songs that they, does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, anyways, Drew gets stopped by Paul, Drew sees the crowd going wild for Arsenal as Stacey Jax, aka Tom Cruise, performs a killer version of Pour Some Sugar on Me. And
as much as I hate Tom Cruise, I really enjoyed it. I mean, he plays the role of a drug-crazed, sex-addicted, completely deviated, washed-up rock star who is a former shill.
Jump back on this.
I don't hate Tom Cruise at all, but I think this is like his worst performance since his Mummy reboot.
I'd say it's probably the closest thing to his actual self.
The entire
I can barely hear it.
Gonna go is Cap dancing around the fact that he's playing Axl Rose.
He actually took like 6 weeks. He took 6 weeks of vocal lessons because he was unsure of his ability to sing.
Yeah, because he actually really liked the play and he didn't want to fuck it up.
To his credit, I think he did a good job. I as much as I think he did a good job.
Okay, now since you claim I don't let you state your opinion, go ahead, Josh. Say that his singing sucked.
Well, it did. I was hoping for what Captain said, like a drug-crazed maniac, but puts on a hell of a good performance on stage. But, like, he just sounded like, D-list Zac Efron, who also sounds like Zac Efron. I mean, they both have that whiny singing voice, the kind of falsetto, but not really falsetto kind of voice that a lot of those...
Hair metal song.
I guess.
Have you ever listened?
Yeah, I listened to the hair metal songs, and they sound a lot more gruff and rough than these guys do.
No, they don't.
They
don't.
Some sugar. Yeah, that's really rough. Pour some sugar on me.
Yeah,
Def Leppard is an exception.
Def Leppard is an exception?
Yeah, Def Leppard is an exception for me.
Of the 80s.
So let's see. Okay, so you think Twisted Sister, you think Poison, you think fucking Rat.
They've got some attitude behind their songs.
Snake.
Like, these guys just sound like they're just covering a song and doing it blandly.
Three-quarters of Poison was recruited from a modeling agency. Yeah, there's some real attitude behind that.
I don't know, I didn't listen to enough
the one
Poison.
album, I think it's Comes Alive or Love It for a Sting, or wait, that's Scorpion. Either way, one of the Poison albums, you cannot discern whether these are male or female. They're wearing so much makeup and their hair is teased to the point where
I'll just say this Poison is an exception, because...
Exception? Okay, so you're saying every single band that's in the movie is an exception?
I don't know.
He was a pretty boy at the time. He didn't get viewed as like a bikery type until later on. At the time, he was a fucking pretty boy from Jersey. He was the boy next door.
I guess.
And got doofed up in makeup and got poofed up hair And then later in the 90s, he acted in U-571 and did the soundtrack to a fucking Brat Pack movie.
The whole stick of the 80s was makeup and hair, and that was hair metal. That's why they called it hair metal.
Well, regardless of that, you're still never going to convince me that his version of Pour Some Sugar on Me is better than the Def Leppard version. Like, no fucking way, man.
Okay, whatever, but that doesn't change the fact that it's comparable at the very least, and the fact that there was no attitude in the original one.
Considering Tom Cruise is an actor, and a mediocre one at that, I think he did a goddamn good job.
Never did anything in music, period.
Well, he's a pretty good actor. I wouldn't say he's mediocre. Like, what are you talking about? The Mission Impossible movies, Collateral, and I don't know, some other ones he's done. He's really good in those, so I wouldn't call him mediocre.
I like his acting. This is one of those things where Cap just doesn't like Tom Cruise, and we're just never gonna get anywhere with it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So anyway, going back to the movie, after they break up, Sherry goes to a strip club where she has to sing "Hard in My Heart." Mary J. Blige plays the owner and offers her job as a stripper.
Just out of nowhere, too.
Again, to Shadows of the Night and Heart in My Heart. That's not out of nowhere.
I mean, she just comes up behind her and says, "Hey, come into the bar with me," and then gives her the job. All the pretty girl had to do was ask politely, and that's it.
Right after everything she owns gets knocked off of her into the street, after she begs her for a job because she literally has no other options,
I don't think she told her no. She was like, well,
no, she told her because she didn't want to be a stripper.
Her exact words was, even before she said the stripper thing, her exact words were, "This is only a stop for you." That's not the words you tell to someone you offer a job. I don't know if you've got a job interview lately, but
I've gotten job interviews where people told me that. Like when I applied to 7-Eleven.
Okay.
So I think Mary J. Blige is an interesting casting choice. I feel like she kind of stole the show musically because of everybody. I think she's the most.
This is one of those things where this was an acting role that she got when she really wanted to become an actor.
Okay.
Actress.
Yeah, I mean, her voice.
Kind of funny to start her. Well, it's kind of funny to start her acting career in a musical, but whatever.
I think she did a good contrast. She made it work.
Other than the two leads, nobody else had any Broadway training or any musical background, other than her. So she's kind of an outcast in that sense. I don't think she's an outcast overall. I feel like she fits in very well. I feel like she's actually a decent actress. At least on par with everyone else in the film.
She did a great job. I'm really, I was kind of like, really, Mary? Okay, let's see where they go with this. And I was impressed.
Yeah. But anyways, and then they do a reprise of Hard in My Heart, this time with Shadows of the Night, as Sherry gets persuaded to become a stripper. She waits tables, doesn't like waiting tables, and becomes a stripper by the end of the song. All the meanwhile, Drew is singing Here I Go Again, and eventually signs his record deal. Dennis panics because somewhere in there, Paul Gill stole all of the money from the show that Arsenal did and screwed over Dennis in the Bourbon Room. All the meanwhile,
poor Alec Baldwin.
That leads to Dennis and Lonnie, or rather Russell Brand and Alec Baldwin singing "I Can't Fight This Feeling" together, and falling in love and making out.
That was
best
a great scene.
I love that scene.
That was a great fucking scene.
Anyways,
I can't fight this feeling, indeed.
Yeah, Drew gets shot down multiple times as a rock star. One of the labels offers him a spot in a rap group that's clearly meant to be a pastiche of, like, the Backstreet Boys and New Kids on the Block and all those other early boy bands in the late 80s. He gets to be Joshy Z. Names are parodied after, what was the one that had Justin Timberlake and Joey Fatone? NSYNC?
Yeah, Joey C.
The names are all parodied after the original NSYNC names, but the band itself is very clearly meant to be a parody of, like, New Kids on the Block or the Backstreet Boys. So anyways, and while that's going on, Sherry starts dancing to Any Way You Want It by Journey. Speaking of Journey, they both reconvene at the Hollywood sign unintentionally, as that's where they both go to think.
Fucking coincidence.
Yeah, talk about coincidence.
It kind of makes sense why it would have a sentimental value to both of them and why they would both want to go there to think.
Right, but they just both happen to show up at the exact same time. I mean,
No, that's what happens in every generic romance movie. Haven't you seen all of them?
Thanks, Cap. You got him going.
No, yeah. I rescind that statement. It's completely fucking believable, and yes, it's perfect.
All right, so what happens next?
So anyways, they meet at the Hollywood sign. Sherry admits she's a stripper. Drew admits that he's in a boy band. Sherry admits that's worse. They come to an agreement about the whole mess of why they broke up, but Sherry says she's going to go back to Oklahoma for every rose has its thorn. Stacy realizes that he's in love with Constance and tries to call her. He also fires his manager in this time because he feels awakened by Constance and what she did. He finds out about his own show at the Bourbon Room that the Z guys were supposed to open up for. Double the Z, double the E, double the flavor.
Thank you, Revolver.
I just had to say
Was
that
it Rolling Stone? Thank you,
Yes.
Rolling Stone.
Anyways, Stacy Jacks rushes to the stage, Stacy Jacks rushes to the venue. This is where the two groups are fighting, the church moms and the rock stars. They fight to We're Not Gonna Take It versus We Built This City. Stacy Jacks pulls up in the middle, recognizes Catherine Zeta-Jones, walks up to her, grabs her tits, says her tits have held up, and goes in. That's when he finds Constance. Lonnie runs in, grabs his first copy of Arsenal at the Bourbon Room, which is brought up several times in the play. I kind of forgot to mention that earlier. Anyways, he brings it back out and shows that she was a groupie and was showing her tits on the first Arsenal album. Drew is at the record store and finds all of Sherry's stolen records there with her name on them from the beginning of the movie and takes them all to the strip club and gives them to her, or rather drops them off for her.
I thought you just bought them at the store.
No, they had her name on them. Somebody pawned them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't see
Somebody sold
that.
them to the record store.
I didn't see that.
Lawyers said Sherry. Anyways, since Josh missed a major MacGuffin, but then keeps complaining about how obvious the movie was, the Z guys, double the E, double the Z, double the flavor, get rejected on stage, and Drew storms off stage. That's when he spots Sherry and goes up to her because she showed up at the Bourbon Room because he got her records. Drew fires Paul then, leaving Paul managerless. Sherry brings together all the Wolfgang von Colt guys who are still working in the restaurant, and then they perform Don't Stop Believin' together while Stacy and Constance fuck in the bathroom.
And doesn't Constance get pregnant or something?
Cut to 8 months later. Stacy's rejoined Arsenal, and Drew and Sherry are Wolfgang von Colt and are the opener. They're at the Dodgers Stadium.
That was when Don't Stop Believing was playing.
It was when they replayed Don't Stop Believing. They cut between the two shots.
I see.
They show the show where Dennis and Lonnie are a couple. Constance is pregnant. Patricia is in sunglasses, everything, and then they show Justice, who is Mary J. Blige's character, and everyone is living their best life, and it's all happily ever after.
And Catherine Zeta-Jones is back in her pre-marriage leather daddy.
Oh yeah, she's wearing her. I forgot about that. She's wearing her whole dominatrix, like rock star vibe stuff, living her best life.
Her husband found out about her past and was outraged when he was watching it on TV while he was cheating on her with his mistress.
Oh, I forgot about the whole mistress thing.
I
Bryan
remember
Cranston liked getting his ass slapped.
Yeah,
because this seems like one of those. This thing's like one of those things where it's like one of those what won't Brian do, just like it was on Malcolm in the Middle, because they got him to bend over and get his ass slapped by a very, very sexy woman with a ruler.
The naked painting in the Malcolm in the Middle, that was a good.
Hot for teacher.
Bryan Cranston does all kinds of funny stuff.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
And he really has no problem doing whatever.
Right. Did you guys catch the Wilhelm screen?
Yep, I caught it.
There's actually two Wilhelms.
It was from it was during the shitty boy band concert thing.
Z guys? Yeah, the Z guys is one of them, and then there was another one.
Double the Z.
The E, double the Z, double the flavor. There's another Wilhelm scream earlier on, actually at the beginning of the movie during Nothing But a Good Time.
Oh, okay. I missed that one.
One of the people dancing on the walls on the poles, it's thrown off and does a Wilhelm. But yeah. Now that the entire plot has been explained, what is your favorite song, Cap?
The whole premise of the movie seems like a fucking bet. If so, like somebody said, like, you have to make a rom-com musical, but like only using songs from this Power Ballads compilation I had in my car.
That's kind of how a lot of jukebox musicals are, though.
Okay, fair enough.
They're meant to be like a songwriting challenge in and of themselves. That's why they're used, is because it's much, much harder to write a cohesive plot and a good story around a series of songs that already exist and already have their own context, which you then have to recontextualize.
Right. I mean, there is so many. I mean, obviously, Don't Stop Believin', Every Rose Has a Thorn. I mean, they did.
Yeah, but I meant, like, what's your favorite performance of there? It's not just your favorite song in the movie.
Christ, I'm drawing a blank here. I mean, I think the Here I Go Again, you know, the montage there where it keeps cutting in between, I think that was the emotional turning point of the movie. So I feel like
between when they're bouncing back and forth between Heart in My Heart and Here We Go Again, and he's signing the record deal and she's becoming a stripper.
Yeah. Yeah, that just captured a lot of. I mean, either that or I Can't Fight This Feeling with Russell Brand and I mean,
on top of it being a funny scene, it's just a really heartwarming scene.
Plus, it's Alec fucking Baldwin and Russell Brand.
With more
gayness equals funny, ladies and gentlemen.
What? You just say degeneracy? What'd you say? What'd you say, Josh?
Oh, you guys said that scene was funny. I said, oh, it's probably funny because two men are kissing, and isn't showing gayness in a movie funny? Haha.
No, because it's fucking Russell Brand and Alec Baldwin. I mean, Alec Baldwin's a semi-serious actor.
Well, that's what I got from the joke.
Yeah, he does comedic stuff now. It's because it's an ex-Hollywood heartthrob with an English comedian.
Because it's...
Who was very, very masculine at one point was fucking Katy Perry.
Yeah.
Oh, that happened.
They're not two people you expect to make a gay joke. If this was... It works the other way, too. If it was
get all the homophobes laughing, that's for sure.
Anyways, if it was John Travolta and fucking, I don't know,
Tom Cruise?
Homophobic actor. Not homophobic.
Ted Nugent.
Is he even... I think he's just a musician, but let's count him.
I'm imagining John Travolta and Ted Nugent making out right now.
Okay.
Yeah, imagine that going on. That'd be just as extreme and ridiculous as this.
Or two, like, openly gay men, like, being extremely, like, let's take, like, a gay man like Neil Patrick Harris and make him, like,
oh, no, let's make a gay man like Jim Parsons. They have done that with Neil Patrick Harris. Imagine if they made Jim Parsons a ladies' man.
I don't think he's capable.
That's how funny this is. I think he's got the acting range. I think he could pull it off. I mean, I think it'd be hilarious and ridiculous, but I mean, if fucking Michael Cera can pull off being a massive jackass and this is the end, I feel like Jim Parsons can pull off being a heartthrob.
That's true. That was.
You can't tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, you got me.
It's not just ha funny gay. It's funny because they have legitimate chemistry, more so than most actual on-screen couples, and it's two ultra buff, fucking long-haired hair metal dudes.
Yeah, let's give credit where credit's due. The greatest acting job in this entire movie was Alec Baldwin's hair extensions.
I'll agree with that.
He actually grew his hair for that.
That was some great acting.
He supplemented it a lot because he's a 50-year-old man, but...
Can I state some positives about this movie?
Sure.
Is that how much you hate it?
Well, despite all that, but I'd like to point out that the one thing I did like about this movie was the amount of color and flashing lights that was going on during the musical sequences.
I mean, that was the 80s. The 80s was all about lights and...
But, like, there's like, a lot of those... Like, I know Mamma Mia kind of had that, but not to the extent of Rock of Ages, and it just kind of ended up being extremely bland and boring because the color palette was the same, or the color and flashing lights was all the fucking same in that, and it was mostly outside. Whereas this, it's more visually appealing, And despite calling him D-list Zac Efron, I thought for what he was doing, he did a pretty good job. I think all the actors did a good job. My main problem is like Tom Cruise. I guess my main problem is he didn't live up to the expectations. That's about as.
While we're on the subject of Tom Cruise, I don't know if you guys noticed this,
Tom
but
Cruise?
this happens in a lot of his movies. They shoot him always from looking up at him to make him seem taller. They always shoot it from a downward angle.
Yeah.
It's a very common camera trick, and he's oftentimes standing in front of whoever he's starring with if they're taller than him.
There's a couple technical things that I have a problem with this movie. One of them is like they show like a specific shot for like 1 second, less than a second actually.
There's a lot of downward shots, but a lot of times too they used him horizontally or just like awkward angles.
What about the shots where they speed up showing the building and then stop when the building is right there? They did it twice in this movie, and that bothered me.
A basic common intro that's in like so many movies is not even.
Yeah, that's why I don't like it, because it's been done so many times before and it's getting old.
Dude, not everything's gonna be fucking Videoscope.
This is an eight-year-old rock musical. It's not supposed to be groundbreaking. It's not supposed to be edgy or, I
don't know where you got all these expectations.
It does some edgy shit in there. Like all the sex references, the swearing.
It's the 80s, dude.
Yeah.
The 80s, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Before they made drugs illegal, sold out rock and roll, and...
Yeah, you could say that's what makes the movie edgy, and that's it.
About edgy, though, this feels like one of those things where you set some ridiculous expectations for yourself, but I didn't present you with fucking The Color Purple. I presented you with lighthearted rock opera, and you're judging it like it's some high piece of cinema.
And I expected it to be a piece of shit, and that's exactly what I got, but worse. Just like with Mamma Mia, just like with Miracles from Heaven, just like with a whole bunch of movies,
I thought it was
actually.
an interesting fictionalization about the death of hair metal. Obviously fictional, but I feel like these exact scenarios happened in some way, shape, or form at some point.
Well, a lot of characters are based on actual real-life figures. Yeah.
Or maybe it's just the fact that I hate Journey's Don't Stop Believing, and this movie's basically about that song, so...
A reason you could possibly hate Don't Stop Believing is just because it's quote-unquote too mainstream or overplayed. It's not like it's a bad song. It's an incredibly well-written song. It's an incredibly clever song.
I'll give you that.
It wasn't overplayed until Glee had it on.
Oh, it was overplayed well before then.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It was overplayed just as much as half the other songs in this were overplayed. But I think,
Glee was at one point the #1 song in Billboard history, right?
Yeah.
It's a little overplayed. It's okay to admit it. That doesn't necessarily make it a bad thing.
Yeah, but even then, when it wasn't overplayed to me, I still didn't think much of it.
Forgotten about, though. I mean, it was still overplayed, but it was kind of forgotten, and then Glee just rekindled that eternal flame.
Yeah. I just grew up in different circles, but it was never out of my mind, or gone, or forgotten, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it very well could be.
Groups I'm a part of.
But then again, I think it debuted on Glee in 2010, 2012.
I actually never heard that song until an episode of Family Guy. Surprise, surprise. And then.
So it could also be Circumstance.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Hates high art, loves Family Guy.
I don't love Family Guy, at least not anymore.
Irony, thy name is Josh. Speaking of Josh, Josh Reese, one of the very prolific studio drummers, played one of the drummers in this.
Yeah,
I did. Wow.
A Perfect Circle for a while.
That's cool.
He was on
amongst many others.
He was the drummer in Arsenal, and he was the drummer in Wolfgang von Colt. Same, do a different wig. Not really.
Can make a huge.
Because when he's not front and center, it's not like it matters.
I mean, he basically played himself. I mean, he's been in 50 different fucking bands. I mean, there's probably a very good chance he played 2 different sets with 2 different bands back to back.
He's just being a set musician. Like, it's not like he's doing anything weird, you know? It's not like they have been
Right,
like,
yeah, no,
speaking
it's-
role.
Yeah, I mean, it's not unheard of to do.
Kind of weird to even
Anyway.
call him playing a role, because he's just, you know, there.
He's playing Josh Reese as Josh Reese.
Anyways, getting back to
The Iceman Cometh.
What?
getting back to the album.
Sorry, I'm just thinking about a movie that I liked more. Anyways, what were you saying, Conquest?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Cap, you never answered what your favorite song was.
It's a tie between the Here I Go Again medley and Feeling. I can.
What?
Okay, sorry, are you asking, like, what song period, or what scene from...
Both.
I mean, I do enjoy Whitesnake, so, I mean, you know, definitely the Here I Go Again medley, and then, just for, like, just pure hamming it up, the I Can't Fight This Feeling.
For me, it's definitely, my two favorite are Can't Fight This Feeling, and I really love Jukebox Hero, and I love Rock and Roll. Also, just because Jukebox Hero is an incredibly well choreographed song, and I love seeing it every time. I love seeing him
They did a good
just
job
like,
on that.
he just casually walks over and like picks up the guitar, and everyone just like kicks in. It's just everything I love about choreographed musicals, just done super well.
Yeah, the choreography
The fact
was
that they-
pretty good.
The fact that they combined it with I Love Rock and Roll in such a cohesive and clever way, I just really enjoy. Especially because neither song, as they stand in the film, were about what they are in the film.
Right.
Which is a really good sign when a jukebox musical can recontextualize hits like that. Don't see that very often.
Yeah,
I personally really enjoy it.
I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. The only other thing I think I could think of that I saw that considered jukebox musical would be Pitch Perfect, and I really don't think they did as good of a job as. I mean, they didn't integrate their songs; they were an a cappella group, so they didn't integrate the songs at all into the plot. So I really enjoyed how well they were able to put the songs into the plot.
It's that kind of problem, but jukebox musicals are already kind of a rare concept as a whole, and then you combine something that's already a kind of rare concept with the fact that it's really, really rare in modern cinema, just because of the way that films don't really, or plays don't really get turned into films.
Right.
That being said, I'm sure that you've heard of or seen more. Boogie Nights was a jukebox musical.
Never seen it?
Oh, have you ever seen Mamma Mia
Nope.
or
You're lucky.
whatever?
Of course
Have you ever
you-
seen Singing in the Rain?
Nope.
Idlewild.
Nope.
Trolls. You had to have seen Trolls.
Nope.
Okay. Miracle on 42nd Street.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm out of jukebox musicals.
Goody.
Again.
I mean, like I said,
whatever.
my
Um,
experience with musicals, as limited as it is, like, I saw Sweeney Todd.
did you ever see Saturday Night Fever?
Never seen it. Nicky, with that guy?
Huh? No.
No. I think in
Okay.
Road Trip there's a part.
Pirates there Change never got made to a movie. No, the Road Chip was a guy. The Alvin and the Chipmunks movies counts as jukebox musicals usually.
I think I saw the first one.
Those ones kind of count. This is a hard one though, because it's one of those things where they really don't get made into movies that often, because then you have to license all the music and movies.
Right. I think that would be the biggest hurdle. I mean, licensing fees are a bitch, especially now in copyright strike. You know.
Yeah.
Well, not a problem for big.
Thank
production.
God it's a bitch.
Did you ever see Okay, did you ever see the Clueless musical?
No, I've never actually seen Clueless.
Okay, there's a musical based on it that came out in 2018. That one's a jukebox musical. That one's really good, actually. I know my best friend's wedding is getting turned into a jukebox musical. I know that there's a Michael Jackson one coming out soon. Of course, there's gonna be a Tom Jones one. There's gonna be there's a Britney Spears one coming out soon. I know
What?
that one. It's called Once Upon a One More Time.
It
Well, I mean,
never
that's
ends.
the best they could come up with. Somebody got paid millions of dollars to come up with that title.
Oh, they didn't get paid millions of dollars. Again, this is the musical.
All right, fair
It's
enough.
not even on Broadway yet. Like,
Well, so somebody got
come on,
paid to come up with that title.
I kind of like the title. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's cute.
Once upon or one more time. That's kind of redundant.
Yeah, it's
That's
redundant. Conclusion. Want to do a conclusion yet, or?
No, because that's a combination of two songs.
Here a conclusion.
Oh, did you ever see Son of Dracula?
Nope.
Yeah.
Did you watch Happy Feet 1 or 2?
Nope.
I saw Happy Feet 1 as a kid.
Juliet?
Yes, Romeo and Juliet.
The end of Shrek.
Romeo and Juliet.
Does the end of Shrek count?
No.
Damn
But
it.
closer. Of course, there was Rocket Man. That one came out recently. You really didn't see Romeo and Juliet, the one with Elton John songs?
No, I didn't realize it had Elton John song. Probably would have been more inclined to watch.
Spice Girls. Did you watch Spice Girls?
No.
Oh, Blues Brothers.
Nope, I haven't seen it.
I saw Blues Brothers.
Oh, have you never seen Blues Brothers?
Just never got around to it.
That one's awesome.
Have you seen Blues Brothers 2000?
No one has.
Don't talk about that one.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, you've never seen a jukebox musical. Usually, they're actually kind of a hard thing to write because you have to incorporate the songs properly into the narrative.
That's why you throw a shitty romance story in it.
Hey, whatever, Mr. Contrarian.
Hey, Josh,
I'm
I have
gonna
a challenge
remind
for you. You need to write a musical that doesn't involve a romance story.
Oh, I can do
And-
that in fucking 2 seconds.
Using strictly metalcore songs.
Okay, that one's gonna be a
Actually, no,
challenge.
I got a better challenge for you. Pick an anime for your next little episode. You're gonna pick an anime that A, doesn't involve a romance story, B, doesn't use any obvious subplots, C, doesn't have any sexual exploitation, D, doesn't have cheap animation, E, doesn't use television tropes whatsoever. Cap, you got any other better ones?
Geez, you really, you covered them all there. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't even think of it.
I'll try to find one like that. Anyways,
Sorry.
conclusions yet?
Right, I mean, I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. I feel like they did a really good job integrating the songs. I had a hard time telling, though, if it was supposed to be strictly parody or... And I feel like they dipped their toe in both pools, though. I kind of wish they would have either... A, went full Spinal Tap and been full parody, or made it a little bit more serious.
It definitely meant to
But, I
straddle that line, although I feel it's definitely more on the side of a loving pastiche than it is on the side of being a serious production.
Right. I just feel like there was more... They could have made it and kind of blur, made the lines a little bit more clear. But, I mean, given the medium, and I really enjoyed how it lambasted the music industry, like especially with the Paul character. He, got what was coming to him, and well, for a few moments, watching this, I almost forgot that Rock is dead,
God damn it!
and for that, I give it an 8 out of 10.
I think it was one of the most fun movies I've seen in a long, long time. I think it's a great musical. I really love this entire production. I only wish I could have shown you guys the Broadway production. Truly one of the best jukebox musicals ever written. I give it a solid 9 out of 10. It's campy in the best way.
I give this a 0 out of 10. Fuck this movie. It's the biggest
What?
piece of shit I've
Seriously?
ever seen. Yeah, fuck it. I hate this movie. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
You know it to
So,
be true. Give in to the dark side.
yeah, I'm not giving into any dark side. I'm done with this shit. But thanks, Conquest. You're a true pal, man. You're a good buddy. Thanks a lot. I'm gonna be recommending 2 things. The first
Okay.
one I'm gonna be talking about is of course an anime, and it's called Wandering Witch: The Journey of Elena. I heard it's supposed to be good, but we'll see. And the other one I'm actually gonna keep a secret, so stay tuned for that one.
You're gonna
It's
keep
not
it
gonna
a
be
secret.
it's not gonna be a metalcore album or anything. It's gonna be something completely different. Not even gonna be music related.
So it's
Comedy album?
based on a Japanese light novel series. It is
Is
Nope.
it gonna be a Jeff Fox
Oh,
review?
man.
album?
Nope. Yeah. Anyways,
We're gonna have fun ripping this one to shreds.
so be sure to check out my second channel, Product Placement Paranoia, on YouTube. And Captain,
Check out my music channel, the Unmet Machines Electric Boogaloo Orchestra.
and be sure to check it out soon because it'll become a musical eventually. As for Conquest,
I'm actually going to turn it into a fucking jukebox rock opera. Thank you for the idea. Stay tuned.
hell yeah. And to Conquest,
I've been Conquest of Star Garnet Studios, and you're welcome.
yes, and this has been our episode, and this is why we shouldn't do podcasts. So thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.